And Alex Sawyer, attorney and Washington Times legal affairs reporter, and Brian Claypool, criminal defense and trial attorney. Thank you to you both. Jonathan Turley brought up a good point tonight. I want to play it and I'll get your response. Watch.
But the real question for many of us remains FARA. You know, this is a Department of Justice that has handed out charges for unregistered foreign agents in similar cases. And yet years have gone by and there's no indication that they've seriously investigated, let alone seriously considered charging Hunter Biden.
Yeah, so you have no charges initially at all in California. They turned him down, Alex Sawyer, and now no FARA charges. It's a fair point. Do you agree?
It's definitely a fair point, although we're still looking at the special counsel is still investigating. Who knows what might come. We were wondering what was going to go down with the plea agreement earlier this year that fell apart, and now these charges have come forward. Who would have thought? You mentioned some of the indictment, the 56 pages, and some of the juicy things in there. It was quite something. I saw he spent more than $40,000 more on adult entertainment than he did on accounting fees and legal fees. I think had that been reversed, he might not be in quite the situation he's in.
Yeah, and since you brought it up, Alex, I want to put these up. These are Hunter Biden's alleged expenses. Look at this, $1.6 million, Brian Claypool, in ATM withdrawals, $683,000 for payments to various women, $397K for clothing accessories, $188K adult entertainment, $237K health, beauty, and pharmacy products. It's really kind of unbelievable. He paid for everything except for his taxes.
Yeah, Trace, great to see you again. I mean, this is why he's got 6 more misdemeanor charges and 3 more felony counts, because he basically threw off the middle finger at the IRS and said, hey, look, I can't pay any of these taxes, but I'm going to go out and spend all this money, allegedly, on women, on pornography, on drugs. And look, at the end of the day, if he's not prosecuted for this, what kind of message does that send to people across the country? You could file false returns, not pay your taxes, go out and party and get away with it?
Yeah, and now let's move on to the impeachment inquiry, because the president was asked about this yesterday. He's not saying much about Hunter Biden, but he did say this about, well, the inquiry question. Watch.
Can you explain to the Americans, amid this impeachment inquiry, why you interacted with so many of your son and brother's foreign business associates?
I'm not going to comment on that. I did not, and it's just a bunch of lies.
You didn't interact with many of their business associates?
I did not. There's lies.
I don't know, Alex. The more you dig deeper into this, the more there's a lot of evidence kind of piling up that points in that direction. What do you think?
Absolutely. It does not look good. And you mentioned the potential impeachment inquiry. Once the House votes for that and these committees get going, it does give their subpoena power, I think, a little bit more support. They could go to court, for example, to try to get their hands on some of these documents. We saw that in prior investigations into former President Trump when House Democrats were leading their effort. It's not going to look good for President Biden heading into an election year. On top of that, it kind of sets up a juxtaposition that he could potentially be facing down the road an impeachment trial during the election year while former President Trump is now in federal courtrooms across the country. So it's an interesting situation voters find themselves in, too.
A lot of trials going on. The Hill writes the following here. The House GOP releases Biden impeachment inquiry resolution ahead of planned vote. Republicans hope that formally authorizing the inquiry will put more legal weight behind the probe and their ability to compel evidence, particularly in any of those battles, if any of those battles end up in court. Does the inquiry give the investigation overall a boost, Brian? Your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, Trace, it does, because the key to whether there's an impeachment, in my opinion, financial records, because some of the money that was paid to Hunter Biden by Ukraine, Romania, and China went to an offshore account and then went to Hunter Biden. So if President Biden's name is on any of these accounts that are receiving the money, then that is really going to move the needle toward an impeachment.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brian Claypool, Alex Sawyer, thank you both.